All right, so I'm joined by Bright Khumalo. He's a portfolio manager at Vestact. Thanks very much, Bright, for your time as always. So markets do appear to be mixed today. Of course, Asia and our local market looking quite good. Europe not doing so well, and I suppose that's partly because of what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. But let's look at what happened in the first quarter. Give us your reflection of the performance, which I see wasn't that great.
So in the first quarter, yes, I mean, in the first quarter, we saw the S&P 500 decline by 3.8%, the Nasdaq finishing the quarter down 8.5%. Things could have been worse, I guess, if it wasn't for, the month of March rallying, I think in the past 18 or so trading days. So, it was, companies like Apple, for example, who have done exceptionally well in terms of attracting fresh capital into the business. So overall, global markets, didn't have a great first quarter. But if we look at, the South African market, we actually were flat in the first quarter, depending on which index you're looking for between the ALSI or the top 40. But if you remove Naspers process, actually, we're up close to 13% or so, for the quarter. So I guess it tells you, what's wrong with our index currently.
Yeah. Do you still believe in Naspers and process, which obviously had a very hard time last month and have been steadily declining for quite some time?
Yes, I have renewed optimism around the whole Naspers process saga. Mainly because a lot of big investors are disgruntled, and I'm pretty sure something's got to give with regards to the current management, because they haven't covered themselves in glory, and some investor activism is probable in the when it comes to Naspers process on the local front. So I'm on that as a catalyst. I'm very positive, and obviously, if you're playing the long game, you're getting it at very cheap prices currently if you're buying in right now, even with the recovery we've seen in the last week.
So, of course, we know that the issues like higher inflation and, of course, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict continue to be uppermost in investors' minds. But what do you see as, other drivers or the main drivers for markets this week?
Sure. A week is a very short time, so I don't know what drives markets daily or weekly. But the things that you're mentioning, most of it is mostly priced in the current markets as we're looking at it, because markets are we always say they're forward looking up to maybe 18 months ahead. So even the inflation, for things like the price of oil, nickel prices for EVs and internal combustion engine cars, most of it is priced in. The question is, how are the producers on the ground level going to navigate these issues?
Locally, of course, we did hear that Moodys, the ratings agency, changed the country's credit outlook to stable from negative. Was there any reaction on the market at all via, say, the local currency?
Look, I mean, we've been watching the rand strengthen, from around 14, I want to say 90 or so, which is where we were 2 months ago, to where we are now, 14.6. So there's been a bit of strengthening, depending on where you cut the line or you draw the line. Sorry, we'll take any good news here as South Africa. I mean, this is hopefully the first of many, because our companies currently on the JSE are painting a very, very positive picture. I mean, you're looking at banks, they're doing exceptionally well. You look at SA Inc. Stocks, doing very well. You look at, the miners, having record production. You're seeing the price of metals is doing well. So exporting these metals outside of South Africa, we're doing very well with all of that, but we still have, big issues, like actually getting some of those metals or coal, offshore is becoming, an issue because of the bottlenecks we're seeing with things like Transnet, for example. So it's a lot, there's a lot of positivity, but there's little that we're doing with it. So if we get those little things right, I think South Africa is poised for a good year of returns.
That would be positive indeed. And we know that there's a lot of market volatility because of all the things that are happening around the world and so on and so forth. And we know that your interest tends to be in offshore investments. But where do you see equities investment opportunities right now?
So look, if I'm drawing back, and I zoom out to last year, October, where we saw the all-time highs between the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, there's still a lot of opportunities, offshore, especially if you're an individual stock picker. There's still some companies like PayPal that are well off their highs, down 57% from their highs, notwithstanding rallying over 20% in the past month. So there's still a lot of opportunities there. Locally also, if you look at, the bigger blue chip businesses that are out of favor right now, even outside of Process and Naspers, there's still opportunities, to get in and buy these equities at a very, very cheap price relative to where we were last year, for example.
Bright, thank you very much. Always good talking to you. Bright Khumalo is a portfolio manager at Vestact. We'll have more business news for you after a short break.